Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah. Okay, I hope people like changes because I inevitably make changes in whatever I'm doing. Hopefully changes that improve things. But I've had to go back on my formulation of the four Klesas and go back to the original scheme but divide two of them. So the Buddhist scheme Shima was 5 Klesas, and now we have 6. Why do we have 6? Because fear and anger, I think, are quite distinct. The Buddhists call both of those aversion, but I think they're distinct enough to consider themselves separately. So in the last talk, we covered the first 4: desire, anger, fear, and doubt. And now we'll cover briefly, just to complete our list, we will cover laziness and agitation. Okay, laziness came up. Most of what we understand comes from our own experience. And we've all experienced laziness, including a very common form of laziness is procrastination. I'll do it later. Kicking the can down the road, as they say, which can be a good strategy in some situations, but not if it becomes habitual. I still remember, it's interesting what comes up. Well, my first visit to Europe, I've been writing about that recently in the article on nationalism. Did you see that article, Imran? Oh, okay. Have a look. When my first trip to Europe, we went to all the major countries, what we consider major countries: England, France, Germany, and then we went to Spain. And I went to the pharmacy in Spain, and for some reason I didn't have enough cash. This was, I don't even know if there were credit cards that we could use at the banks then. I mean, it's so long. This is 1966, a long time ago. Anyway, so it wasn't a big bill, but I looked, I didn't have enough cash, and the pharmacist said to me, "Mañana, you'll pay tomorrow." He didn't know me from Adam. There was no basis of trust whatsoever, but mañana. In this case, it was very good because I'm generally an honest person, and I went back the next day and paid him what I owed him. But we had to go to the bank to get, in those days, or American Express to get cash. So I showed up the next day. But of course, this mañana is the bane, if you want, of the entire of all of Latin America. You know, everything is mañana, and the Muslims have inshallah, which is also often a formula for procrastination and laziness and inefficacy. So laziness, it's always there, and in Islam, it comes up mostly on the issue of getting up at night, at tahajjud, and before Fajr, and then Fajr prayer, and it's easy to get lazy on that one. So that's our practice. That's our opposition to laziness. Our jihad against laziness is getting up in the middle of the night. It's not easy, and doing your prayers and practices and dhikr. Okay, so it's a fairly obvious problem, and the solution is self-discipline. It's really just do it. I remember with my mother, may her soul rest in peace, there are times when before examinations I would get quite stressed, and I say, "Oh, it's really hard to do any more studying, but I have studying to do," and all she would say is, just do it. And there's some wisdom to just do it, because you can always find many, many reasons to not do it or to put it off. So the other one I wanted to point out before we complete the subject of Klesas is agitation. By the way, you can't get any pointers in the grocery store. Agitation, which is very common. Sometimes I call it the Manhattan syndrome. You go to Manhattan and at lunchtime, and many, many people, I remember this from the past, haven't been there in a while, they're just eating on the run, and they come to the fast food place, even a good quality fast food place, and they say, can I have it? It's going to be 15, 20. Oh, no, it's too much. And they run out to find another place. It's too much to wait 15 minutes for lunch. Okay, so they get into compulsive activity. Who is the, I got the name, okay. Michael Milken. Does that mean anything to you, Iran? No? No. Michael Milken was the founder, so to speak, of junk bonds. It was a kind of, it was a scam sometime, well before some of the more well-known scams with Bernie Madoff, for example. So Michael Milken was talking about, he ended up in prison for a while because of, did you ever hear about junk bonds? Okay. These are interesting names historically. Anyway, Michael Milken, he made a fortune of money with his junk bonds, but he was describing his lifestyle, and he said, I eat standing up at lunch because I don't want to interrupt my work. And he would work for, I don't know how long, hours and hours into the evening, every day. Maybe he took off a day or so on the weekend. So, and he was a New Yorker at the time. I don't know where he is. So this kind of compulsive activity, a lot of people are into it in North America. I'm sure it exists in other parts of the world, but I think North America is the champion in this compulsive activity. People feel like, sometimes we talk about workaholics. They're another group. Or other people, they have ADDers. They have to keep moving all the time. Now, sometimes we have to move, If you're retreating in a war situation, you better move quickly and keep moving. But there's a lot of times when this is actually a waste of time, just moving for moving's sake. And people have, every country almost has ways of people wasting time. In the Arab countries, you'll see a lot of people playing. What's the card game they play? There's a card game that's very popular in the Arab countries. They sit around and they smoke their hookahs and they play this card game for hours and hours. Now, I had a personal experience with this, actually, a kind of aha moment. Way back in 1967-8, when I did my first sabbatical, and I was in Sweden and in Gothenburg. And in Sweden, they had a library that was open 24/7. I went there to do some good things, reading, listening to classical music. I was looking at art books. I was trying to learn about arts. But I was also addicted to chess. So one day I went into the chess room. In the chess room, there were always people there, day and night. And I played 24 hours straight of chess. Like a gambler, at the poker machine. And then I was going home in the morning when everyone was going to work. I was going home to sleep, and I realized that this is not a good thing to be doing. It's not a good thing. This is wasting time. Other people do it playing solitaire. I know my mom, may her soul rest in peace, used to play a lot. When she didn't know what to do, she'd play solitaire on the computer or on her telephone, whatever. So people have lots of, now in Islam, Of course, we're allowed to rest, we're allowed to have recreation, but there's a term in the Quran called law, which generally means recreation, but ultimately means wasting time. You're not supposed to waste time. So I tell people, including Hadi, for example, if you're in the car, use your time well. I have one client, he listens to audiobooks all the time he's in the car. I have a few preferred radio stations, and I can almost always learn something in the car about all kinds of subjects. So don't waste your time. This is basic, certainly to Islam, but to all religious practice. Don't waste your time. Because that's called agitation. Some people, they drive their cars for hours and hours, whatever they're doing. And in England, people stick around the pubs. We're not even looking at the question of alcohol, but the question of, are you really spending your time well in the pubs? Or then you have these people who know everything about every soccer star, Europeans. Every soccer star in America, we have people know everything about every football player, and how long they've been playing and where and what the statistics are. Much of this is time wasting. It's haram for us. How are we? Excuse me, audience, but I didn't plan this properly enough. How are we going to know what time we're on? Do you have a timer or anything? I didn't bring my timer. You don't have a timer. Okay. Could you warn me at the 20-minute mark, or?
I'll warn you in 10 minutes.
Yeah, in 10 minutes. Okay. So that's the 7 Klesas. Desire, fear, anger, doubt, laziness, agitation. Fighting those 7 Klesas is a lifetime project. Okay? It's never over. I thought I was mostly over anger, and then I met a super woke guy at my grandson's birthday party, and I just blew up at him. I said, "You're the Ayatollah of woke," the Persian guy. So the struggle is never ending, but we have to keep it to a minimum. Okay, now while I was presenting this, I was thinking, it all sounds quite negative. Everything, all the Klesas are negative. What is the positive side? And as we were discussing in our Quran class, the stations of the nafs, I was thinking back to my first sheikh who gave us the stations of the nafs, the stations of the heart, 7 stations in each of these. Not very well known by Muslims, actually, even Sufis. I haven't seen it anywhere else, but it's an interesting classification. Stations of the nafs, stations of the heart. What are the other 2?
Stations of the soul.
Soul, and
I didn't know there was a 4th one.
Stations of the secret, the seer. Okay, so this is the highest level. But when you want to go positive, to use a Biden term, the inflection point, the place where things change, is in the heart. That's the center of it all. And obviously, physically, it's more or less central.